Today, we're going to break down a personal stock trading formula that we found online. It's pretty fascinating. It claims to cut right through all the noise with just a handful of simple, disciplined steps. It's one person's strategy, and we're going to walk through it.
So that really is the big question, isn't it? I mean, can you take this huge, complicated, kind of chaotic world of stock trading and just boil it down to a simple, repeatable formula? Well, the person who wrote this strategy gives a very direct yes to that question. Let's see how they do it.
All right, let's dive in. So the first part of any strategy, really, is just knowing where to look. This formula tackles the what and the where right away, which is smart because it helps you avoid that analysis paralysis you get when there are just way too many options.
And the answer is surprisingly specific. Right off the bat, step one is to basically ignore almost everything else and focus only on tech stocks that are listed on the NASDAQ. By doing this, the person who made this formula immediately shrinks the entire universe of stocks down to something way more manageable.
Yeah, this really shows you that first big decision. So instead of trying to, navigate the entire ocean of the stock market, this strategy just creates a much smaller, cozier little sandbox to play in. It's a really powerful way to simplify things from the get-go. Okay, so once you've got your focus set, step two is kind of like checking the weather before you leave the house. You're just asking, hey, is the NASDAQ tech sector having a good day or a bad day? The formula says to do a simple pulse check. Just look at the daily chart and see if the overall trend is pointing up or down. So now we know where to look, and we've checked the general mood of the market. Now we're getting to a really crucial piece of the puzzle. When do you actually pull the trigger and buy a stock? And here's the thing, this formula gives you a super clear, totally unemotional trigger. It just takes all the guesswork out of it. Your signal to buy isn't some gut feeling or a complicated analysis. Nope, it's a specific numerical event. A stock dropping somewhere between 5 and 10% from its recent high.
So here's the crucial part. You're in your NASDAQ tech sandbox, and you find a stock that you think has good potential. And yeah, that part is a little subjective. And then it takes that specific 5 to 10% dip. That's your signal to act. It's pretty much a classic buy the dip strategy, but with a really clearly defined percentage to keep an eye out for. And to make this really concrete, the author gives us a perfect real-world example. They mentioned that they bought Microsoft shares at $430, right after the price had dropped about 10% from a recent high of $470.
Let's just break down the math on that. The stock is Microsoft. It was at a high of $470. A 10% drop from that price is $47, right? So that would put the ideal purchase price around $423. Buying at $430, like they did, fits right inside that 10% dip zone. It's a simple, clear, and really easy trigger to calculate.
Okay, so buying is one thing, but a strategy is only as good as its exit plan. Getting out is the other half of the battle. So let's see how this formula handles the really important part, taking your profits and cutting your losses.
So here's the whole trading loop laid out. You select your stock, you check the trend, you buy the dip, set your sell price. Wait a minute. What happened to step 5? No, seriously, it's actually missing from the original source material. It's just gone. A little mystery for us. Anyway, the process continues with defining your profit, and then of course repeating the whole thing.
So that missing step aside, step 4 actually gives you two really clear ways to get out of a trade. The first is setting a limit sell price. That's basically you telling your broker, hey, if the stock hits this higher price, sell it and lock in my profit. The second option is a 5% stop loss, which is your safety net. That tells your broker, if the stock drops by this much from where I bought it, just sell it to protect me from losing any more money.
Now we get to step 6, which is all about defining what a win actually looks like. And this is where the whole philosophy of this strategy really starts to shine through. We're not talking about huge, home run kind of gains here. The author says a trade is a success if they make a profit of just 0.025% to 2%.
Wow, this donut chart really puts that into perspective, doesn't it? Look at those tiny, tiny little slivers. That's the target profit. This strategy is clearly not about hitting the jackpot on one trade. It's all about a disciplined approach, taking small, consistent, and totally achievable gains. And that can be a really powerful way to manage risk and grow your account over time.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. This is the part that turns this whole thing from a one-time action into a continuous process. It's all about the loop.
The author's own words in step 7 really say it all.
I repeat the same trend again. See, the goal isn't to reinvent the wheel with every single trade. It's about finding a system that works for you, and then having the discipline to just apply it over and over and over again.
So, this brings us back to that fundamental question we started with. We just walked through one person's very simple, very specific formula. And it really makes you think, right? Is success in trading all about finding some super complex, perfect system, or is it really about the discipline to just stick to a simple one that actually works for you? That's definitely something to chew on.